Like Gill and Qrash, just catching up.
Hey, I had a problem with my video. Hi.
She
Catching
left
up.
me hanging.
Yeah,
But
sorry.
yeah, we were just naming this podcast, and it seems so relative in what we're talking about today. And today we're watching and we're weighing and we're watching movement. And you know what's funny? How many times we watch movement and it keeps coming back to us. Whether we want it to or not, it
Keep
does.
leading back to you.
Yeah. I keep seeing stuff and go, hey, this has just happened. Really? Well, here's this about the title is ready? Brokered convention assassination. Who had motive? So we're taking you back to Arizona as much as I don't like going back. And it's becoming more and more these little prominent instances that we had in Arizona with that brokered convention. Turns out that there was such a thing. In fact, Qrash found something with our boy Scott McMahon. Maybe this is a good time to pop that number 10 out.
Okay.
Even though I did this out of order, I realize that. But now, what Scott McMahon here is saying is that, let's see here, 10. Good, thank you. Flynn had enough control over the state GOP. That's Arizona. Convention from the floor. I broke on June 4th, 2024. I was in Arizona at the end of May putting this together. That Shelby Bush led a training session on how to initiate a floor fight to take over a national convention on the primetime TV and place a new candidate into nomination. Okay, Qrash. So, McMahon, before McMahon knew that Bush met with Flynn with the broken convention. I didn't. Do you remember I said broken convention and Qrash will tell it was about Sununu and watching him and Haley and how they were going to make a move. So when we turned around and went to Arizona, it was about the cartels. I think it was a setup to have me get murdered. We came there, everybody knew I was going to Arizona, including the cartels, and it would have given them an alibi. Do you know how
Right.
dangerous we are to not just Flynn, but Flynn and the connection to the DOJ? So that meeting, that room, that tape, we all know there's a tape. Here's my position, and Scott won't say it, and he'll avoid it, which I believe he's part of the CIA, and maybe a move to get rid of Flynn and the contagion to the Department of Justice. And then you've got Flynn trying to hang around too. We're seeing a few things going around now, which is why it's so important to watch their movement. Okay, so let's think about this. That tape. Now we know that Harris has it in Bush, at least, and others. That tape has to be heard.
And
That
we know that Matthew talked to Scott and told him what was on the tape because I think Scott admitted that, or Scott said he talked to Matthew. So that's
good.
out there. I mean, we know they know it, you know.
Well, me, the people, I was in the room, right? There's a separation. And everybody in that room, everybody, Bush and Harris, has to be investigated immediately and considered a suspect. A suspect in the brokered convention would have been treason, working with Flynn, which was in that room. Flynn, who was already orchestrated the insurrection plot, which was again mentioned on that tape by Harris and Bush. And now we know from Scott, who's a witness and has to be investigated and pulled into this, everything that he knows, not just a suggestion. Let's not forget what happened after this. Once we foiled this, not Scott, me being there, and the only reason why they all flipped out, they thought Trump sent me. That's what happened.
Well,
That's
you
why
you
we had
were
the
we
meeting.
talked about this before. You were already thinking the broker convention in on the plane, which was back in, you were May.
Right. That's why none of them knew. That's why Michelle Moore couldn't rat me out. That's why when I took a quick turn to the brokered convention because of Sununu and found him cold, Harris and Shelby Bush. Think about it. Why would Shelby Bush make a meeting with me? Because at that point she thought it was Trump. And at this point, she wanted to turn around and saying that they were being manipulated and moved by Flynn and Patrick Burns. And they brought up the CIA and 98% control of the podcasters. And how do we not know that that includes Scott McMahon? And this is just a DOJ CIA cover up of a Flynn removal. See? So when we're saying we're watching Flynn. It's like I've told you to watch Flynn these last years. He hasn't disappointed, has he?
No, we're watching what Trump does too. We're watching, we got to give Trump time to see what, he's doing.
Exactly correct. Trump's in, we had to first get Trump in as president. That is in place. Now Trump's got to take them out, and he can't do it in time. He's got to do it immediately. Listen, this is why the brokered convention had to be investigated. How do we know that Plan B, if that was to stop the brokered convention, wasn't to assassinate the president? And if we want to show that Mike Taibbi clip, Qrash, Mike Taibbi, right, who has been covering the borders and so forth. And what does he say? And we talked to Trump. Team Trump is livid over the assassination attempts. This is the last straw they were very public about. Okay, so if this was days after the brokered convention attempt, and Haley and Sununu would have been the beneficiaries, and the DOJ and Flynn, why wouldn't we consider the same people days later being involved in assassination? Listen. All it means is we have to be investigated. Everyone in that room. All of this has to be investigated. And then we'll also find out why I was there.
Right.
About the cartel. Was I set up? Michelle becomes a witness. Then you find out who she's working for and with and what was done. And maybe we can open the door to these podcasters to be investigating. But what Qrash was saying is we're being patient. Patient to the point where we want to see the appointments. Bondi as the AG. That was definitely the first move in replacement. You're not going to go after the Attorney General's office with their own people. Which brings us to the point where maybe that article where Trump fires the team all around, the DOJ team, the U.S. attorneys around Jack Smith. More than a dozen key officials on former special counsel Jack Smith team. Okay, so now, Qrash. The important thing, they said fired. Fired mean you need just cause. Fired mean they had just cause. What was that just cause? Was it the insurrection plot? Were they behind it with Jack Smith? Now, if I'm President Trump, you know how you do that? You fire, indict, and investigate those U.S. attorneys, cut them a deal. They know all about the deals. That's who makes the deals. And you flip them.
Right.
You flip them into the Department of Justice. That's your courts. That's our courts. That's who tried to take Trump out, put him in jail. You think Trump didn't win this election, he wouldn't be in jail? That was a done deal. And here's something else about that, right? Where is Jack Smith's 77 witnesses?
Right. Yeah.
Where is all this evidence? We're getting, you know what something reminds me of? Reminds me of Maxwell. Oh, Epstein's list, the names. We ain't getting shit. Smith's gone. His team has been fired. And we ain't seen a damn thing. Did this remind anybody of anything? Is our boy Flynn there? Powell's on the list. Flynn's on the list. What were they going to testify to? Yeah. Enough to put Trump in jail. And now we're getting whitewashed?
Yeah.
So, again, we're watching. So, for instance, Kash Patel. he gets put into as the director of the FBI. I know has been a connection with Flynn, so it scares me. I can tell you the destination of Flynn is as much as the whatever this arrangement is, he dictates it. The DOJ is afraid of Flynn because the insurrection plans leads to him. I think that's who this McMahon is. CIA comes from Sedona. So does the other shitheads. The investigator, Michelle, smells CIA. See, if the Flynn was going to get uncovered and exposed, and his podcasters were, and if you were in partnership with Flynn, meaning the CIA, what would your plan be? You would do everything you can to keep your contingency into this podcast world. These other guys that were so strong, Flynn, may have to be sacrificed. But you want to keep that attachment. If what we learned anything, we've learned that mind control is effective. Have people around this country been damaged? Have they been sent to prison? Are they doing business with people who are con men and predators? I'd call that damaged. We've lost our common sense.
Yeah.
Common sense got me to go to Arizona and walk into the potential of a brokered convention without anybody whispering a word. And I'm saying, let's play the tape. Just like we brought the evidence, me and Qrash have showed you the evidence. Do you know what makes me so dangerous in that room in the meeting? Not just a witness to that. It's that I'm the Pandora's box. The DOJ, all of a sudden, I become a witness in this. They bring me in because of the stuff with the cartels, which put pressure on the president to say, okay, here's the evidence of the cartels. Hey, have you ever visited Planet Fitness? Maybe you'd like to. But that puts the pressure on them to do it. Then we turn around and open up the laundering network. Your target's the DOJ. Here it is. This could be the way in. And we got a tape. And we got an assassination. And we got Sununu, who didn't run for governor. Then they used AOT, the XAG, to block it, who covered for the Pandora's box and the Pandora papers. The A team is in place, in defensive place.
And I still say that anybody not asking to at least hear the tape is suspect.
1,000,000,000%.
I mean, I want to hear it. I want to know what I don't. You told us what was said on Michelle's show, and
right.
You didn't make yourself look like a good guy. You told him you were kind of like an ass, talking. But you know what?
Well,
there's a lot in that tape that that's one thing of the tape. We want to hear the whole tape.
Everything in the tape. Listen, I was in the tape. I was there. I know what's in it. I'm saying every American needs to hear what's on that tape.
So anybody protecting that tape is a problem. That's just how I look at it.
And think about who's protecting the tape right now? The Department of Justice.
Right. Well,
they don't want you to hear it.
And that leads down into the people that we see on social media protecting it.
Right.
So you got to see a connection. It's like, to me, I mean, how hard is it?
This is about evidence, right? I'm giving you evidence. You're going to know there's a brokered convention by the person who was laying it out for Flynn. You're going to hear that. And you're going to hear the same people with Harris talk about how Flynn fixed and corrupted the Arizona audit. That is the insurrection plan. You get two for the price of one. Why? Because they were all connected to Flynn. It was all a Flynn operation. The DOJ writes up the plan. The general there orchestrates it, the delivery. You people are under attack. They almost assassinated President Trump. They tried to flip on him right in front of you. Why do you think Haley and Sununu was hanging around even after the fat lady sang?
Right.
But they were still hanging around. I know that fat face, inches from that fat face, multiple times, Chris Sununu. He wasn't bullshitting me. So, I mean, one day this might make history. How that fat face turned the brokers' convention on their ass. And then the other reason why it has to be investigated, if that was plan A, and plan B was to murder president, don't you have to know if that was plan A? And if
Right.
the same people were involved? So what I'm saying is you have to. And then then we show Trump the December 18th while Flynn was in the Oval Office with Powell and Jack Smith was trying to hang you to a tree. They were contacting me and Jack Smith too, when you consider Jack Smith's the representation of the DOJ. Who gave Flynn my number? The same DOJ. And I hate to say it again, but we won't put the picture up. But the Mullen list of evidence.
Yeah.
They told you what we gave them. It was the Pandora's box. It was money laundering. It was the drug cartel. It was the corrupt courts. And I found their money. This is what nobody brings to the table. Maybe a guy who won more races than anybody in history, or maybe a guy who turned around, started from nothing and built a large mortgage company, found and figured out a way, considering the financing, the nature of it. His silly ass happened to be parked in New Hampshire at the time. Thank you, Jesus. But even that calculation was logical. Who would have found it but me? And then you have in horse racing and fixed races and money laundering, again, the connection. Listen, and then I go to Arizona. That's what they're losing their shit because they didn't hear it. They didn't see it written, meaning about me going to the broken convention and pop, we're there. That's what we missed. Maybe the picture of me and Shelby Bush. Do you have that, Qrash?
I don't have it. It was on the
Okay.
video. It was on a video.
Okay, their thing. But we'll
It'll be
post
on.
that
It'll be
later.
on the cover photo.
Right. But that's me meeting her at Trump's rally, setting it up. Before Scott already knew they had a training thing to sabotage Trump. Hey, let's run through this. Make
No,
sure
wait.
we're all right.
Yeah, go ahead. I was going to say that. What number 10 again? That he just told us that. Now I know he has a paywall, but we didn't hear that before. What he just said in number 10 on that. Do you want me to put it up again, or you remember? You know what I'm talking about?
No, I remember it.
So why didn't we hear all that? Unless it's something that we didn't see because of the paywall.
It means he has a motive. The motive is a cover up. The motive is to get Flynn, but don't put me into it either. This guy had inside information, looked like he was just leaking the inside information. I calculated it. It showed up at the door, scheduled the meeting, and might have been the only one without a recorder and almost had a fist fight. I'm telling you, we should sell tickets to this tape.
Well, if we could hear it, we would.
How about this? For all those people who have seen me on State of Corruption, confronting people face to face, you won't be disappointed.
No, not at all.
Certain shit never changes. Meaning, not only not lie to you, I don't have the patience for people who do. I can't even control myself. That's why being on the phone with Juan for hours was a test of
Patience.
from jumping out the window. No, I think I was dealing with suicide with him.
I believe that.
Yeah.
With Taibbi saying that Trump is livid, there's got to be an investigation coming that is hopefully leading to this tape.
Think about this. He's livid about the assassination, which we could use the mode about the broken convention and the same people. Boom. He should be livid the fact that the insurrection, and we already know he is because he's firing the DOJs that were part of it. We've got the key evidence of Flynn reaching out to me from his Oval Office. Then when we get them all together, we get to say, well, why is he so interesting? Well, he's got the laundering network of the deep state that's going to hang all our asses.
Yeah.
I mean, you couldn't write this better. You couldn't. I couldn't.
They all talk about it being a movie, like all the, what us Q people, we talk about it being a movie. Well, I'm going to say this. What you're going through is not a movie. It's your life. It's real. And we can sell tickets.
Tell me
at
one person,
point.
right? How many of these people came from nothing or nobody? I mean, they were strippers.
We don't know. I mean, yeah, they were criminals, I guess. I mean, I don't know.
Right, predators. And they became wealthy. How about this? It was a wealthy man. honorable man in 2 different businesses, world champion in the largest brokerage firm in this country. And you know what? Think about this. You see what I did in this for the last 19 years? That's how I built my business, with that kind of hard work, dedication. I shut everything off and do this in my life for these like 19 years. These last 7, 8 years have been in complete and utter isolation and darkness. This is what we talk about, and I talk about murder attempts like it's yesterday's business. And I've lived through all these things. You know, it's beyond. I even go to Qrash sometimes. We talk. We'll go, man, this is hard to even believe I'm living in this, and she's living it too.
And I'm seeing what people don't see because of you. And I'm thinking, man, if people just would, step out of the clouds and realize not everything's a movie. I mean, there's stuff going down here. I mean,
and that's crazy. What I'm watching. And there's things that are happening in and around me. I won't mention any names, Qrash, or anything, but it was an incident that Qrash knows that I had a few days ago that we haven't talked more about, but it's been bothering me greatly. But I think they're trying to scare me too. And Qrash had a catch too. And again, we won't mention any names. But the one name you caught,
yeah,
would have been the last name I wanted to see.
Right.
As far as concerned about getting murdered. So somebody's watching, I believe.
But so what you're doing, this is just an update. So just to recap, you're just giving people here what you see coming. And the good news is what started this whole conversation with us was Trump and his DOJ firing all these Jack Smith lawyers,
Yes.
So that's what started all this. We wanted to get it out so we could, kind of keep people up to date with what you're thinking.
I set it up. Me and Qrash did the videos coming to the election and right after the election, right? About no more promises. You've got to go after these people. Don't talk about going after the DOJ. You got to do it. Same thing with the cartels. So in other words, I'm seeing the movements and I'm saying I'm not going to make a suggestion. I'm not going to give you my opinion yet. I'm going to be respectful that way. Even though with Kash Patel I have reservations, I'm going to supersede those to President Trump, particularly if he knows who Flynn is. I'm not telling you it doesn't give me pause, but I'm going to respect that. But from them, those people in place, then you got to take action. Listen, If someone was trying to kill you before, what makes you think they're going to stop, particularly when you're closer to threatening them now?
Right.
This is when it's the most dangerous when they get desperate. And that's what happened to me last week. What I read it is desperation. And that's what I'm seeing now. And Trump's making the right move. And the thing with the DOJ, listen, they might have tried to assassinate him, but the DOJ tried to put him in jail for the rest of his life, which is worse. That's who he's up against, and that's how you have to handle it. You have to handle this is life and death. This is for me. And I am telling you, and Qrash knows this too, we are coming to a reckoning. I can't keep going further on this because they won't let this go either. Flynn can't move forwards or backwards with me still in the picture. The DOJ was too close. For instance, even this tape. You don't think somebody on the DOJ side, I told you we should have taken his ass out before. And then you got cartels saying we would have killed him. You stopped us.
Yeah.
We've got changing scenarios all the time. The closer we get, the more dangerous we get. By talking to you and giving you too is the balance of staying alive sometimes. It's when those attempts were misses, and we had a couple on video that went to the Department of Justice, then we put them in trouble. And then it was lulling with the sealed envelopes from the IRS that we put in. I think that was last week.
Yeah.
Nailed it down. That's the door to the IRS. And think about it. You think they can steal $35 trillion and not have the IRS in on it? Not have the Treasury in on it? Of course. What, did it slip their minds? Hey, was someone auditing Hutner when he wasn't filing? And the money he was getting was foreign governments. And don't worry, he got an immunity. And that's what I think you're going to start seeing, these more immunity deals. Let's see who gets immunity. Let's see if our boy Flynn gets immunity. Patrick Burns, Raiklan.
If Flynn gets what about these 8 subpoenas? Let's say they're still out there. If he gets immunity, what happens to these subpoenas with him and
I think the subpoenas might have died when Jack Smith's case died.
That's what I'm wondering.
Potentially, right. But he isn't being volunteering anything, and Jack Smith's in volunteering nothing. You know, with all this bullshit of threatening about the evidence and about the witnesses, you got jack shit.
Right.
You got the Epstein list. This is a
nothing.
joke.
Yeah.
It's the James O'Keefe Project Veritas. So now you see it, now you don't.
Right.
Nobody gives you anything that can be used as blackmail. That's like burning money. I am a traveling blackmail. One used me against Hunter Biden and baby mama we spoke about. Blackmail with the evidence. What did Centelli say? They would use you to weaponize you. Weaponize me about finding their money of their enemies. The problem is both sides are your enemies. You don't have friends. Now let's hope President Trump is that. And I banked on it. After 16, I thought we were all set. And then they sat on him. And you know what? The same Roger Stone was part of that. The same General Flynn was part of that. And the same DOJ. So there's another 4 years of my life. Well, you know what? I kept the evidence. I incriminated Flynn even more. I exposed these podcasters while we were handling our business. Might have stopped a brokered convention while Trump's president. And by God's grace of God, he gets missed with a bullet thereafter. I'd call that quite a journey.
Yep.
From the world champion of thoroughbred racing. You understand? The king of kings, the wealthiest, most elite people in this world, I beat their ass. So in other words, you want to know good guys, bad guys? I was famous and wealthy and a good father and 5 children. So why did I put it all on the line? Does it make sense putting cartels' faces on the sign they wouldn't murder your ass? Do you think the people you fight, let me think, I'm going to pick on the Department of Justice and the FBI. It's the most powerful law enforcement agency in this world. I'm going to go knock on their door and say, hey, what's up? But I did that.
They won't answer.
I mean, you asked U.S. Attorney Kakavas. I would see him every time I said, I'm going to put you in jail. Watch when you go see me leave the courtroom each time. I stop by telling the judge, don't forget, I'm going to put you in jail.
Yeah, I remember. You said that a lot.
Every time I left, just a reminder. In fact, the judges would go, I know, Mr. Gill, I'm going to jail. I go, just so you remember one day. Now, if this is righteous, and President Trump opens this door and goes after them, I would ask you, President Trump, to send me back to New Hampshire. I'm going to go back into each and every one of those courtrooms, every one of those judges you've seen on video, instead of putting you in jail, and snatch his ass up to jail.
We need that on video for sure.
Oh, man, we'll sell tickets.
Yeah.
You know where it starts by selling tickets? To the tape. Liz Harris, Shelby Bush. Get that tape.
Right.
And we're going to keep watching. And we're going to keep watching. And we're going to be trying to get a little bit more active. But it's one thing. I don't want to jump and say anything and say a move until it's done. You know, I want to see action.
Right.
So I'll give Kash Patel room to see if he does anything.
I think he's on Thursday. So his confirmation. So we'll see after that. I don't know.
All right. All right, Qrash.
All right.
Back to the life of luxury. Oh, what's my motivation? My motivation is whatever was on that heater, whatever bug, is not to get bit by that.
Well, it's okay. I think it was just a centipede. Those don't bite, I don't think.
Well, Jesus, I don't want to see it again either. All right, Qrash. I'll talk to you.
See ya.